of this committee, and it's a matter of real regret that the facts could not emerge and could not be gotten to my understanding, faster.
Well, you've made clear that it is the case that the information we were given was incorrect. Have you established who, as well as Clive Goodman, was involved in phone hacking in the News of the World?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, could you repeat that?
Who, as well as Clive Goodman, was involved in phone hacking in the News of the World?
As I think you made it clear earlier, Mr. Chairman, that there have been a number of arrests of former News of the World employees. These are matters for current criminal investigations, and I think it's difficult for me to comment in particular around some of those individuals.
Have you carried out your own investigation since the discovery of this information to find out the extent of involvement in phone hacking in the News of the World? We have
established a group in the company cooperating very closely with the police on their investigation. Their investigation is broad with respect to journalistic practices, and in particular journalistic practices at the News of the World. And the policy and the direction that the company has given them is to cooperate fully and transparently with the police, to provide information and evidence that the company believes and they believe is relevant to those investigations, sometimes proactively, sometimes in response to those requests. And again, I think the very fact that the provision of the new information to the police in the first place when there was no police investigation ongoing, that then led to, in part, the reopening of, or this new investigation being established, I hope can be testament to some proactive action and transparency with respect to getting to the right place in terms of finding out the facts of what happened, understanding all of the allegations that are coming in, and moving forward to aid the police in the successful completion of the important and serious work that they're doing.
Okay. And the departure from your company in the recent few days of Tom Crone, of Rebecca Brooks, and of Les Hinton, is that because any of them had knowledge of phone hacking?
I have no knowledge, and there is no evidence that I'm aware of that Mrs. Brooks or Mr. Hinton or any of those executives had knowledge of that, and their assertions, certainly Mrs. Brooks, and assertions to me of her knowledge of those things has been clear. Nonetheless, those resignations have been accepted, but it's important, on the basis that there is no evidence today that I have seen or that I have any knowledge of that there was any impropriety by them.
I'm going to turn to Tom Watson.
Mr. Murdoch Senior, good afternoon, sir. You have repeatedly stated that News Corp has a zero tolerance to wrongdoing by employees. Is that right?
To me, yes.
In October 2010, did you still believe it to be true when you made your Thatcher speech and you said, "Let me be clear, we will vigorously pursue the truth and we will not tolerate wrongdoing"?
Yes.
So if you were not lying then, somebody lied to you. Who was it?
I don't know. That is what the police are investigating and we're helping them with.
But you acknowledge that you were misled?
Clearly.
Can I take you back to 2003? Are you aware that in March of that year, Rebecca Brooks gave evidence to this committee admitting paying police?
I am now aware of that. I was not aware at the time. I'm also aware that she amended that considerably very quickly afterwards.
I think she amended it 7 or 8 years afterwards. But did you or anyone else?
Sorry.
Did you or anyone else at your organisation investigate this at the time?
No.
Can you explain why?
I didn't know of it. I'm sorry. If I can just say something, and this is not as an excuse, maybe it's an explanation of my laxity. The News of the World is less than 1% of our company. I employ 53,000 people around the world who are proud and great and ethical and distinguished people, professionals in their life, and perhaps I'm spread watching and appointing people whom I trust to run those divisions.
Mr. Murdoch, I do accept you have many distinguished people who work for your company. You are ultimately responsible for the corporate governance of News Corp. So what I'm trying to establish is who knew about wrongdoing and what was involved at the time. So if I can take you forward to 2006, when Clive Goodman was arrested and subsequently convicted of intercepting voicemails, were you made aware of that?
I think so. I was certainly made aware of when they were convicted.
And what did News International do subsequent to the arrest of Clive Goodman and Glenn Mulcair to get to the facts?
We worked with the police on further investigation, and eventually we appointed, I think very quickly appointed, a very leading firm of lawyers in the city to investigate it further.
Perhaps I could help.
Well, I'll come to you. I'll come to you in a minute, sir. I'll just let me finish my line of questioning, and I'll come to you. What did you personally do to investigate that after Mr. Goodman went to prison? You were obviously concerned about it.
I spoke to Mr. Hinton, who told me about it.
Okay. Can I ask, in 2008, another 2 years, why did you not dismiss News of the World chief reporter Neville Thurlbeck following the Mosley case?
I'd never heard of him.
Okay. Despite a judge making clear that Thurlbeck set out to blame 2 of the women involved.
I didn't hear that.
A judge made it clear that Thurlbeck set out to blackmail 2 of the women involved in the case.
That is the first I've heard of that.
So none of your UK staff draw your attention to this serious wrongdoing, even though the case received widespread media attention?
I think my son can perhaps answer that in more detail. He was a lot closer to it.
I'll come to your son in a minute. So despite the fact that blackmail can result in a 14-year prison sentence, nobody in your UK company brought this fact to your attention?
The blackmail charge, no.
Do you think that might be because they knew you would think nothing of it?
No. I can't answer. I don't know.
Do you agree with Mr. Justice Eadie when he said that the lack of action discloses a remarkable state of affairs at News International?
No.
Mr. Murdoch, a judge found a chief reporter guilty of blackmail. Were you aware that News International commissioned an investigation into News International emails by the solicitors firm Harbottle and Lewis?
Yes, I didn't appoint them, but I was told of it happening.
You claimed in the Wall Street Journal that Harbottle and Lewis had made a major mistake. Can I ask what mistake you were referring to?
I think maybe that's a question again for James, but there was certainly, when we re-examined that, we found things which we immediately went to council with to get advice on how to present it to the police.
In their written response to this committee's questions, are you aware that News International stated that both John Chapman and Daniel Cloak reviewed these emails before forwarding them to Harbottle and Lewis?
No.
So that nobody in the company told you that 2 of your executives had reviewed the emails back
I
then?
thought that I was under the understanding that everything had been sent to them.